Hi friends, welcome back to part 2 of making an envelope folio. And what we're going to be doing in this one is we're going to be finishing it off by decorating, collaging, and then creating the ephemera, the tags and the note cards to go inside of it. So get your collage bits ready, and I hope you'll join me as we finish up making this envelope folio. Let's go. Okay, so now that we have our junk journal, our folio all together, let's do some decoration and get some ephemera put in, some tags, maybe some note cards to put into here, and then we'll be all done. So what I've done to start is I try to prep tags and note cards ahead of time. Sometimes I have them, sometimes I don't. In this case, I have some a little bit ready to go, ready to be collaged and things. So this is just 2 book pages and a piece of coffee dyed cardstock put together. So these I was thinking, could go in the front and maybe in the back here. So that, we can collage them and have some nice ephemera with some fabric on the top or something coming out there. And then for the inside, I was going to create some note cards. So I have these old postcards that I got at an estate sale, and I've just scuffed them up with sandpaper so that when I glue on the top of them, it'll stick. So I'll probably put some book page down on them just to cover them up and get them ready to be collaged as well. So maybe I'll go ahead and do that while we're waiting so that it can dry, because I do like to sew on things too. So when I kind of stick things down to be ready for sewing, I want to be sure that everything's dry so that I don't gum up my needle on my sewing machine. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on here, and I'm not so concerned about how much since I plan on sewing around the edges, but I do want this to hold. And I have decided that I want the back of my postcard to be sort of the journaling space on this note card. So that's why I'm gluing it that way down. So I have another one here, and I'm going to do the same thing. Just put enough glue to hold it down. And maybe I'll put it on this side this time. Maybe kind of right up toward the edge so it has kind of a little bit of a deckled edge there on the corner of it. Like that, so when I cut it off, it'll have that kind of nice shabby looking corner there. Okay, so these are going to be, ready to go as well. So I'm just going to put those aside to dry for a little bit. Oh, and let me show you what else I pulled out. And I don't know if this is all I'll be using. Maybe we'll pull out some other things. So I had just fussy cut some butterflies from a vintage book out, so they're kind of ready to go. I have some labels, because labels are always fun, I think, to put onto collage. And then I have some tickets that I thought might be fun. I haven't cut them out yet. We'll see if I decide to use them. And then I have these really cool images that I printed out that I thought might be good on our note cards. So I think these might be a little bit too wide for the tags. I kind of like to have more of an edge around the things that I put on. But if you can see on this one, there's a lot of really pretty lace on the sides of these images. So I kind of want to keep that intact if I can. So I'm going to put those aside so I don't use them for the tags, because that's what I want to work on first here. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention was I have these little bits of tickets and airmail and postcard with some stamp and some canceled marks on it. And I just wanted to say, while I was creating this and, adding our book pages to the insides and to our pockets and things like that, I kept the edges. And if you're like me, you try to use up as much as you can. And sometimes that's, you might think you have too much around, but I like using these book page edges for stamping. So if you have some stamps that you can use, these little corners of the book page or the bottoms of the book page, the sides of the book page, make really great places because the if you have a nice book page that's a nice vintage feel or something like that, when you put a stamp on it, it really is sort of a nice effect instead of doing it on a blank piece of paper and then trying to age it. And like this one, this tag was the end of a tea-dyed piece of paper that I had cut down for another use. So this is like the tip or one of the pieces of the envelope that we cut off, and that would be a perfect spot to put some stamping on to be able to use in your collage. And then the other thing that if you don't have, you know, picture stamps or something like that, you can always do the letter stamps. And these are just the real cheapy typewriter letter stamps. I believe I got them at Joann's, and I think they make perfect words when you stamp them. So if you have a word that you'd like to add to your collage, you can still use the edges of your book pages and just stamp a word right on there. So I did want to just mention that because I think that's a fun way to, you know, continue to use up scraps without, you know, just having to throw things away and have some really nice pieces. So I pulled out a couple of those that I had done, and we'll see what I'm going to do. And then I also am just going to probably pull out some scrapbook paper to maybe use for my collage as well. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to use. I may not use it on every page, but it's going to be available to me in case I want to use some of that as well. Okay, I'm going to start by collaging my front little pocket and the back pocket here. And I pulled out this scrap piece of paper, and I thought it might be fun to figure out how we could get something on there with this. So, so actually it's kind of interesting how this sort of follows that line. So maybe I will just tear a little bit off here. Let's see how that works. And for collage, I feel like I probably do it different every single time that I do it. So it's just, you know, how you feel like doing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some pieces on and see what I think first, and then we'll glue them down. So I'm going to throw on a label there, and I think I'm going to try and find a butterfly, and I do have these little pieces of plants and stuff that we could use. Oop. And that matches really good. And I think that might be all the front needs here. So I am going to distress everything, and I could cut this out a little bit, but I think I'm going to leave it like it is. I kind of like the way that it covers up some more of the book page words on the page itself to kind of help it stand out. And I was thinking about maybe actually stamping something in there, but I may just leave it since I don't know what I'm going to use this little notebook for yet. I may just leave it blank for now. Okay, and there's all my pieces. They're all ready to go. And I think I'm going to use my glue stick here. And I'm just going to make sure I get over the edges so that it's got glue on every single piece. And then I'm going to make sure I leave some of that bottom torn book page there because I like the way that looks. And we'll leave our airmail. Actually, you know what? I just messed this label up, so I'm not even going to put that one down because when I put the glue on it, I was putting glue on the side there, so I think I'm going to put a different one on. Let's see if I can do this one without messing it up. Okay, I think I did that a little bit better. Whoops, but this one wasn't inked, was it? Let me just go around there real quick. Whoop. All right. Straighten that out a little bit. All right. So there's our front. I like the way it looks, and then we'll have I'm going to collage a tag to go in there, so I think that'll look good there. And let's go ahead and do the back. And I think since I did a little bit of this orange paper on the front, I think I'm going to do a little bit on the back too. I don't know exactly what I want to do with it yet, though. Let's see. I was thinking maybe just a little strip at the side might be nice. I might have to take a little bit more off of that, but like that. And maybe I'll kind of keep with the male theme. And I'll tear a little bit of a postcard canceling stamp on there. And then let's see, maybe another butterfly on here. Let me see what I got over here. Actually, I think I might like this one. And I don't think that's quite enough. I'm feeling like it's missing something. I could maybe use one of these tickets, or this ticket here. And I'm just kind of cutting it down. I want it to be a little bit closer to the line on this one. And then, let's see. I'm wondering if maybe this is too big. Or needs to go over here. And if you've seen me collage before, I think I've said, sometimes collage is tough for me. I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like it takes me a little while to get into the rhythm or something. Now I kind of like the way that's looking a little bit better. But I still feel like maybe there's something missing over there. I kind of like the way this butterfly looks on top. Maybe we had too much. Let me see where I put all my things away here. Did I move them all over? I don't know what I did with them. Oh, that was the other thing I had, was this postcard thing. I'm wondering if that might be enough. But I think what I'm going to do, because I do kind of like that this is just a little bit plain there, but I think what I'll do just to add a little bit to the background is I have this little piece of acetate that I just punched different size holes in, and I'm just going to use one of my, this is the Rusty Hinge Distress ink, and I'm just going to add some color to the background there, so that when I put those on, my butterflies, you'll kind of see something else going on back there. It won't look so plain on the right hand side, I think is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so if this goes over here, and then I have like this. Yep, I think I like that. So you can see just a little tiny bit that I added really helped sort of complete that look, I think. So let's go ahead and distress them. I think this little folio would make a great little notebook to, you know, give as a gift, or just to take to a friend for, you know, just to have something to give away. I love that. Okay. That looks nice. So let's go ahead and put this down first. And I'm going to get a new sheet out since I seem to have been having problems with my old one. And then we'll put our butterflies down. There we go. And I could definitely, you know, add a word or something back here. Let me go ahead and do that. I'm just going to take one of my book page scraps, and I'm going to take my, let's see what color. I'm going to go ahead and use black for this one. And how about we do the word dream. And I'm just going to try and do it close to the bottom so that I can use this for other words if I wanted to. And I love these little individual stamps. It really gives it sort of an old typewriter feel because it's hard to be exact on where these are going. But I like that. So they're spaced funny sometimes, and sometimes they're higher or lower than other letters, but I like the way that looks. All right, so I'm just gonna cut this out. And we'll see maybe where this might look nice. And that might go right over there. Let me distress that a little. And I'm just gonna rub this on top of my glue stick. And I do believe that just helps sort of complete it. All right, so our two pockets are done. Now let's go ahead, I'm going to put this aside for a second. Let's go ahead and do the tags. And I have another piece of scrapbook paper that I think goes well with the orange. And I'm just going to kind of do the same thing. I think I'm going to just tear it. I do like the way torn paper looks. Let's see. And that's, I tore it a little bit crooked, but I kind of like the way that looks. Move this over here. Now maybe I could use one of these because this orange, I used Distress ink to stamp this, so I think that that kind of adds a nice contrast to this. And maybe I have some other florals that I had printed out over here. Maybe I'll cut that off. Let's see how that might look. All right, need some other things. I kind of like how that's coming together, but I think some more tickets or something might look good there. I don't really have any up and down ones. Oh, I have these I could use. That might be fun. These have butterflies. I believe these are, I'm not sure what kit they're from, but these are Tracy Fox tickets. But I think something like that might look nice. And then this one I am going to sew around, so that adding the stitching I think will finish it off nicely for me. So I do need to just, I don't have these completely trimmed, so let me. Okay, I'm going to distress everything. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put my strip of paper on. This will sort of anchor everything down for me. And let's see. Try to decide where I want that to be, and I'm going to cut it a little bit long, but I think that's going to be good. And I'm just sort of following the line of this a little bit. And I was going to put these underneath. Let me see if I can kind of lift that up, since I forgot to do that. This one's upside down. Okay. All right, I like the way that's looking, and I'm probably going to put an eyelet up here. So I don't know if I can put this postcard thing on. see if that'll, it might get covered up a little bit, or it might get punched a little bit on the eyelet. Maybe I could put it to this side a little. Now I'm just tearing off right around the edge, which a little of it might get pulled off, but that's okay. Maybe even cover up some of my flower there. So I kind of like that down there. Looks like there's, once again, a little bit missing here, but I have to remember I am going to sew around it. So actually, let's go with that. There we go. Now I'm just going to cut this little end off here. All right, I like that one. And then let's do another one here. And I could use the same color and maybe go across the bottom this time with my blue. And since I'm tearing all the edges, I might as well have the top match. Okay, let's see. Let me pick my butterflies first. Actually, I want to do another, I liked the way having the flower on this one. So I think I'm going to try to do the same thing here. Let me see if I can find one. Kind of like this one. I really like that one. And then I might need a different butterfly. Ooh. I feel like I need a smaller. And sometimes it seems to just come right together, because I think that's pretty good. I like that. Okay. Let's just dress it up and go for it. I think sometimes I think too hard about where things should go in collage. I don't know. And this week I have so much on my mind. My daughter's going back to college this week. And I just got back from a family wedding. We also had a death in the family. It's been crazy. So definitely doing this kind of thing takes my mind off of things that are going on. When I need a mind break, collaging is good sometimes, I think. Okay, I keep closing this up and I am not done. Obviously, I have a hard time doing two things at once. And this one, I do like the white in the middle, so I'm gonna try not to, I'm just gonna do just a little tiny bit of distressing around the edges of this one. And keep that white edge or white middle in the middle, if that makes sense. Okay, let's go ahead and start gluing. Okay. Sometimes I like the contrast of a torn edge and then, like, you can see this straight edge here. I think that adds nice contrast to collage. And okay, so for this one, I think I'm going to use my glitter glue, although I will say I saw the cutest technique from Angela. I think her Instagram handle is Angela K50. And she put, not this, but she put Fabri-Tac on her hand and then just dabbed the piece on her hand to get the glue all around, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. So I'm gonna have to try that sometime, but this is just old habits here. Okay, and whoa, hello. Got a little book page on there. I'm just peeling that off a little bit. There we go. Maybe I'll go like this for this one. That is the only thing about glue stick. When you have to put it down, it does start to stick to everything. Okay, which I don't have to use it, but let's cut this one off. And I think we have 2 tags done. All right, let's also go ahead and get these note cards going. So I have my postcards glued down. And so I'm just going to trim around them. So that I know when I start collaging, I don't end up collaging off the edge of them. Because believe it or not, I've done that before. I've waited to trim until the end. Don't do that. Okay. So here are my cards, and I'm just gonna, because I think these I'm gonna collage this way, sideways. And actually, if I want to use these, I might not be able to do that, huh? Because I really did want to use those. Maybe we'll do them long. I was thinking I wanted to do that, but I don't think I do. So now for this one, I think the first thing I want to do is I'm going to stitch just around these pages. I'm not going to stitch it down yet because I want the stitching to show, but I don't want it to come through the back. So let me go do that real quick. Okay, I've got my top pictures stitched, and I really like the way those look. I did go ahead and distress them. I wanted to get them ready so I wouldn't forget. And I was thinking some fabric might look really nice on these. So I have this old, I think it was a pillowcase or something I picked up at a thrift store, but I love the little flowers on it. And I think maybe even just across the bottom, this would be a nice little touch. And I could maybe even do, I might have enough to do both the top and the bottom. let's see. Maybe I could go, all right, so first I'm going to, I love to tear my fabric, so I'm just going to cut a little snip and then tear it so it gives it a nice frayed edge. And I think that'll look great there. And let me just do a little test and see if I like the top covered as well. Actually, I don't think I do. I think I just like the bottom done on this one anyway. Maybe what I'll do is for, here, let me see, because I kind of like this little fleur doodle thing up there. So I'll leave that there maybe so that you can kind of see that. And then maybe for this one, I'll do the top so that they sort of match. And then I'll add, all right, let me see, let me cut this one down so that can go on so I can kind of get an idea of what I'm doing here. Okay, and this one, the one edge wasn't torn, so I'll just pull some of the threads on this side to give it a more torn look, because it's hard to tear a teeny tiny piece of fabric like that. I'm gonna have to do the same on this one because it wasn't torn on this edge cut. So I'll just pull a couple of threads out and rough it up a little. Okay. And I am gonna sew the whole thing around for this one too, I believe. So kind of like the way those look. And then I was thinking these butterflies might be nice on there. I'm liking that. These are just my You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to add some of my circles again to underneath because I think that would add a nice little touch for me on the paper because the paper seems a little bit plain. So I'm just going to do a little bit on each side. And for where I don't have fabric covered, I will do a little down at the bottom maybe. I think I need a little bit right in the corner there. And let's go ahead and do this one. And I just made this little template, like I said, with hole punches that I had and different size hole punches, and I really liked the way it turned out, and I really love the effect that it gives when I do some stenciling with it. And I think that's perfect, you guys. What do you think? Sometimes simple is good for me, I think. And this is just a piece of fabric, a picture, a butterfly. That's nice. All right, so before I didn't distress my butterflies, let me do that real quick. I like that. Now for my fabric, I'm definitely going to use my Fabri-Tac or my Beacon 3-in-1 glue, which I think is the same thing as Fabri-Tac. And what I'm going to do to make sure I don't have, sometimes you can see this glue, it goes through fabric sometimes. If you just put a little bit on and then spread it with your finger a little bit, that seems to really help cut down on how the glue looks through the fabric when it dries. I think it just, you know, kind of puts it through all the fabric. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and glue everything down here with this Fabri-Tac. Since I'm gluing on top of fabric, I want to be sure that my paper sticks down real well to it as well. Okay, let me go sew these quick. All done, nice and sewed. I did decide to do a straight stitch since I have the zigzag in the middle. I did a straight stitch around the outside and I just like the way they turned out. Very good. Okay, so now we have our tags and our note cards to go on our inside pockets. And now we just need to do something here on our front and back flap. These are awfully plain, so let's get some stuff together to do those. Okay, I think I'm going to do the back side first, and I pulled out some more plants that I have. This one I might need to fussy cut. I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to use that one yet. And I have this one, which is a little bit plain, but if I add some, I'm thinking if I added some butterflies to it, it might work out. Okay. And I think maybe what I'll do for this one is add some more of that orange paper to it. I think that might look good. And I'm not sure exactly what I want to do. Maybe just put a strip down the middle. Let me see. Just to break it up a little. Give some contrast. Oops. And I wonder, I was thinking that guy might look good with this. I have a lot of side butterflies left. Let's see if I have any more full facing butterflies. Actually, I kind of like that one. Actually, that might work. I'm gonna give this a little fussy cut. Okay, I like how this is coming together, but I do think I need like some sort of word or something to put on there. Ooh, I know what. Maybe a little dictionary or thesaurus words. Let's see if I have any good ones in here. That outdoors. First one I pull out might be the one. Ooh, radiate. That might be better. I like that one better. All right. If I could hear you guys talking to me, I'd ask you what you think. So I am going to, I think I'm going to tear this off down at the bottom here. So we'll just tear a little bit of this off. And then don't forget our distressing. So to avoid my problem of the glue stick, since I don't seem to be very good at that today, I'm just going to use some tacky glue and see how this does for me. I love being able to have options. Sometimes, you know, it can be overwhelming if you have too many, but if you're having a bad luck or a bad time with something, you can always try something else, which I like too. So I'm just going to make sure my tacky glue is to the edges of this torn piece of paper before I put it down. Oh, did I distress that? I'm not sure I distressed that one, but I could go in and do a little distressing. There we go. And you can see I lay my glue on the side so that if I stand it up, it's gonna all go back down to the bottom. So I leave it on the side when I'm not using it so that it doesn't, I don't have to stand there and hold it upside down for it to come back down to the side. Forget where I had this one. Maybe I'll put him a little bit underneath. There we go. one flap down. And let's go ahead and do the front flap. So I want to do kind of basically the same thing to make them match. You certainly don't have to. You could do any kind of collage you want to, and I already love the way that's coming together. So I don't think I'm going to need this one. But I do want to see about having another. I liked the words, my thesaurus words. So let's see what else we got in here that might be good. Correct. Ooh, how about liberty? We had radiate in the back and liberty in the front. I kind of like that. And this one, I don't even know if I'm going to do a second butterfly, because that seems pretty full, but I will use this for, I'm just going to use this as a background for my word. So instead of putting it down the whole page like I did on the back, I'm just going to give that a little distress, which I'll need to distress everything else. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this onto my orange, and we'll make a little border for it so that it'll pop when it's down on the page. So I'm just making sure I'm gluing it down in a place where I can tear around it and still have enough border for it. So and I think maybe what I'll do is I will put this down first here so that my flower can go on top. And let's see if I can remember to distress everything this time. You'll have to tell me, do you forget to distress pieces sometimes? And if you don't, if you never seem to forget to distress, please tell me how you do it. Because I feel like I'm always, have 100 different thoughts going, and then that's how I forget to do my distressing on all my pieces before I start to glue them down. So let me know in the comments how you do it, or if you're like me. Okay, I'm going to put that down, and then this will go like this, and then we'll just figure out how to put the butterfly on top. But I love the different colors here for that, so I think that's going to work out nice. Now I can put my lid on, and I do store this glue upside down so that it stays down. Okay, so now once everything is dry, which that probably won't take too long, once everything is dry, probably what I will do actually is go back in with my glitter glue and get any areas that are lifted up a little, make sure that they're nice and glued down. So if I can get my glitter glue out. I wonder if I have it drying out too much or something. Let's try that. Here we go. So you can see there's a couple of little lifted edges here since I didn't wipe my tacky glue to the edges. And so I'm just using my glitter glue to make sure these stay down. And I will probably do the same here. I'm just going to put a little clip on there so I don't end up gluing my pages shut, which would be, you know, something typical for me to do. And this one's almost dry, but I can still see a couple of edges that pulled away a little bit here. Okay. And I love the way that looks. Now we can, oh, I just need to finish up my tags. I realized I haven't put my eyelet in because I wanted to let those dry a little bit. So let me go ahead and put those eyelets in. Okay, through the magic of video, I have my eyelets in. And I also realized I had forgotten to sew around the tags. So I went ahead and did that as well. So you can see how they turned out. I really like the way they turned out. So for my toppers, for my tags, I'm just going to use some of this seam binding here. I'm just going to kind of guesstimate how much I think I need, and then I'll trim it down once I have it in there. So what I like to do is fold it in half, and I like to put it from the back to the front when I put it through. So I think I've already got it stuck on something. Let me try this again. There we go. And then put my two ends through the loop that I have pulled through. And let me just do this one, and then we'll trim them down a little bit, and then we'll put our notebook together. All right. There they are. And I like the ends to be not quite the same size, so I always try to kind of do them a little bit different lengths. And there we have it. So now, let me just kind of clean up some of my collagey bits that I was using here. All right, so we have our tags and our note cards, and so I have to decide what tag's going to go in the front. And I kind of like that one because it's nice and colorful, and the butterfly sticks up above the tuck spot here. And then we'll put this one in the back, and that one looks nice too. And then we will put our note cards in our side pockets here. And then this will be all done. And then if I wanted to, you can see the note cards are definitely giving it, and the tags are giving it some body. So it doesn't lay quite flat, which is totally fine with me. But we could add some seam binding to, let me see if I can find my piece that I had here, just around it if you wanted to. but you certainly don't have to do that. You can just leave it as is. I kind of like them chunky. And there you go. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make an envelope folio or an envelope junk journal. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I hope you've subscribed to my channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.